Ahoy there! So the question is, can you sail through the Crinan Canal solo in 2024? And the answer is yes. If you do a few little things to prepare first, it's actually relatively simple. The good thing about the Crinan these days is that all the canals were staffed with the exception of one, which meant there was staff ashore to grab your lines and help you out along the way. So in this video, I'll show you what I did to make it a little bit more simple. I'll show you some of the beautiful scenery, the locks that we went through, and also I want to say a huge thank you to Alistair and Adita, who filmed a lot of the footage you're going to see with his wonderful little drone, and for the great company they gave me on the journey as well. So yeah, let's not mess around, let's get into it. This is where it all started. So this is the beautiful Ardrishaig on, or Ardrishaig as the locals call it, I believe, on Loch Gilp. And this is where I'll be entering the canal, heading down the 9 miles or so of the canal towards Crinan on the Sound of Jura. And this enables people to cut through basically without having to go around the Kintyre Peninsula and the Mull of Kintyre especially. I actually had engine trouble at the start of the day. My impeller decided to fry itself when I started the engine, so that wasn't a great start, but we got it done and we'll get into it. In terms of setting the boat up for single-handing through the locks, what I did was take a long line, like a super long line, run it forwards from the cockpit through the jib sheet cars, so it was controlled, to a turning block which I lashed onto the forward cleat, and then ran it along the outside of the stanchions to a large bowline back in the cockpit. This enabled me to pass up the bowline from the cockpit up on a boat hook to the member of staff alongside, and because it ran back to the cockpit I could put it around a winch and control the bow line from the cockpit. This also meant that I could control the stern line from the cockpit on the other winch. I used one of the jib sheet winch, one on the spinnaker winch, and I have both lines controlled from right in the cockpit. Made it super simple, super easy. So yeah, let's get into the first lock, the sea lock, and see how we did. So the first part of any trip going anywhere is getting yourself off the dock. So if you're new to the channel, you won't know this, but I use a spring which is attached to a quick release knot, which I just released there. So I motor into the spring. When I'm ready to go, I can release a quick release knot. That knot was taught to me by David Clark Williams, a very, very good friend of mine. I was lucky enough to do a video with him, which I will link in the description if you want to look at some boat handling stuff. Sadly, he passed away recently, so when I left Portland was the last time I ever saw him. He passed away before I completed the journey, which is an incredibly sad thing indeed, and has had a big effect on a lot of people, myself included, everybody around the marina, and people all over the world that knew him. He really was a true gentleman, a hilarious human being, a good friend, and just a good human. Yeah, so let's move on from that. Yeah, let's speed this bit up until we get in the dock, and then we'll see how we're getting on. I was actually shouting to Alistair there because I thought I was going to hit his dinghy. He was towing it. Yeah, so you'll see the process here. My bow line, I hook onto a boat hook and I hand that up to the lock keeper as I'm coming in. He'll then walk that forward and secure the bow. I'll take that in around a winch. My bow is now secure. I can go astern, stop the boat.
Hold up, I was panicking trying to get in, so
And eventually, when I've stopped messing around, because I'm never really truly prepared, I can get the stern line up as well.
Very much. Thank you.
Once the stern line is secured, the boat's secured, I can manipulate the lines using the winches, which means I can be hands-free because I have self-tailing winches there. I can just pull in the bow, pull in the stern, and then adjust them. I thought originally I'd have to adjust them with a winch, but it turns out there's so little pressure on them a lot of the time that you can just pull them in by hand. Yeah, that's effectively the process. Rinse and repeat for the other X amount of locks. I've actually forgot how many it is. Yeah, we'll fast forward and we'll get the lock up and then we'll have another look. And that was that. Lock number 1 of many done. The system worked. I actually revised the system in the Caledonia Canal, but that is the basic system. That's the much teaching we need to do. Let's go on. I'll show you the rest of the canal and all the rest of it. We actually got held up in the sea lock for a little bit. There are 2 swing bridges. When one is open, the other one must remain closed in case it gets stuck open. Then the place gets sort of isolated. You can't get traffic across the 2 places. So yeah, we got held up a little bit. But now let's get out of there. Let's get into the canal proper and let's have some fun.
See you later, thank you. Don't worry, I'll phone you. Oh, no worries.
Right, here we come into lock number 2. Yeah, I was always really scared about popping Alistair and Adita's dinghy, but it's pretty under control. So yeah, same system. Lines up on a bowline. The bowline up on. Let me rethink this a second. The bowline on the boat hook for the bowline, and then the stern line. So if I was to do this again, so you always have it in your head. Get the bowline on. However, if I'd have thought more about it, I should really have got the stern line on first, tighten that up, and that would stop me going forwards into Great Bear. And it also means that once it's secure, I can motor into that and control the bow into the side of the lock. So yeah, that's what I started doing later on in the different canal. It just didn't dawn on me at this time. Yeah. So if I were you, I'd get your stern line on first. It'll stop you going into the person in front of you, and you can motor into it and keep your bow in. It wasn't too bad on this because my prop walked to starboard, so the prop walk just pulled me back in once I was on the bow. But yeah, anyway, we're tied up.
I need to get the sequence a bit smoother. I need to get the sequence a bit smoother. Oh yeah, it always does that. That's the only way to stop it. Oh, welcome to lock number 3, possibly. I've left the 360 running, so you'll probably see me come in, but Alice and Adita are over there. It's going alright so far. Warm. Yeah, I need to get the process a bit smoother and stop panicking to get things. Everything happens slowly on a boat, but I feel like I have to do everything quickly. There's no wind or anything, so it should be absolutely fine. Yeah, the staff are just filling the gates now. All good. Rightio, first set of locks done. Hopefully I've managed to steal that footage off Alistair and you saw them from above. Bit of a motor now to Loch Gilp Head. I think there's a swing bridge there, and then the next set of locks is at our place, which we'll get to eventually. It's a stunning little waterway, gorgeous. So quiet, so calm, which is exactly what I needed after the battering yesterday. Had an impeller problem this morning. I've probably shown you that. I think Alistair filmed me losing my rag trying to fix it because it didn't work and it should have done. Yeah, all good. I put my jacket back on because it looked like it was going to rain and then it stopped again. But hey, well, super useful having somebody else around, just for moral support more than anything. They've actually been people at every lock that we've got to thus far, so we've not actually needed to do anything apart from pass our lines up, which is handy. If that changes, then I think I'll just hold off from the lock. Adita will go ashore, catch Great Bear's lines, and then I'll go in the lock and she'll grab mine. I think that's the process, but we'll assess that as we're going. A little narrow bit. Yeah, pretty bloody good.
Okay, so this is the bit of the video where these good YouTubers will probably be able to make things super interesting and stuff like that. However, basically from this point on until one particular lock a bit further down where we had to do it ourselves, is basically just me going into locks, passing lines up, going up locks and then leaving them. It's all the same footage, it's rinse and repeat. I apologise, but it's like, do I just delete all this footage and not put it in the video? I don't know, maybe somebody wants to watch it. So I'll put a time on the screen now, which will show you when we do the lock between us, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And if you're not interested in that, I'll put a time on the screen now. And that is when we basically get to where I'll end this video and do a little chat about the day and show you where we are. Where I end the video isn't actually where we stayed for the night. It's just because this video will be an hour long if I do that. So yeah, I'll stick some cheap royalty-free music on now, and if you choose to watch it, good on you. I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, so we are coming up to lock number 6. Yeah, this is the first lock that we were left our own devices on, basically. So I held back a little bit, and you can see Aditra has gone ashore, grabbed their own lines, and then come to grab mine here. This is sped up second times. I'm not like running around like some like it's one of those silent movies where everybody's moving at double speed. No, I have sped it up. So yeah, Adita came, grabbed my lines, and then I went ashore and helped her with the lock gates. Then jumped back on and managed the lines, went back up and opened the lock gates again. So it worked out pretty simple. I was actually thinking of a method to do this entirely on your own, and I think I've come up with a bit of a method, but I'll probably discuss that at the end of the next video when the Crinan Canal's actually finished, when we've got more time to chat, because this video's already running a little bit long. So yeah, there I go, going ashore with my underwear hanging out because, you know, classy, and we manipulated the gates. I think it was Alistair that filmed this, thank you very much. Nearly went on my backside. It's quite slippy. Was I wearing Crocs? I can't remember, I could have been wearing Crocs. Yeah, so this is the only lock we actually had to do on our own, and that is only because a couple of boats passed us going in the opposite direction, so the girls that were operating the locks actually went and gave them a hand with their lines. They probably thought that we looked professional or something like that and could probably manage it on our own. Little did they know. But yeah, we did alright, nobody died. And that's the main thing. Surprising just how heavy the gates are to move, sort of thing, because of the water resistance more than anything. Right, let's crack on.
I'm really sorry, I'm about to make it rain. I'm about to make it rain. It's going to take us off. I'm going to go up and give her a lift.
Okie dokie. After that final lock, we're on the upper reach now, so basically we're as high as the canal goes, which means that all the rest of the locks are downhill from here. Not in a horrible, it's all downhill from here kind of way, but yeah, which actually turns out to be far, far simpler, a lot easier. This is where we ended up. It is, I've not done my research, it's this place here. We just stopped by the next set of downward locks, actually just for a little half hour and some lunch and to dry off and have a minute, regroup, before we continued on. And not really a bad place to stop, is it? With that beautiful, beautiful little lake or lock just off to the side there. And this was a set of maybe 4 or 5 downhill locks, the names of which I'm sure I will put in the video somewhere. Thank you, Alistair, again for the drone footage. As you can see, the little transit pontoons aren't necessarily all that large, so quite often you'll just raft up, and it's a lot simpler as well. It's easier for me to raft up alongside Great Bear or the other way around, because you can just grab each other's lines, and it's all pretty simple. Yeah, so that is it. I'll leave the video there. We actually continued on from here on this particular day. All in all, I think we were in the Crinan Canal 4 or 5 days, but I think if you pushed it, you could do it within a day, or a day and a little bit. The reason we were in so long is we got to Crinan at the end, where we had electricity and stuff like that, and then we had several days where the weather just wasn't great for leaving there. So within the license, I had 2 weeks to do the Crinan and Caledonian. So it was actually free for me to stay there, rather than like pushing on one day to Carrera, which is a video you should have already seen, and getting stuck there for a week. Better to stay where it's free, sort of thing. In terms of the canal itself, absolutely beautiful. The staff are amazing, really helpful. Like I say, they were at every single lock apart from one. And even if they weren't at the locks, I think you could do it as a solo sailor completely on your own. So what I would do, I think, is to, assuming the lock gates are open, if not, transit pontoon and open the lock gates, come in, I'd have a breast line which I would tie onto the ladder, go up the ladder, take my bow and stern lines, attach those, close the lock gates, open one sluice, and then get back down the ladder and take the breast line off pretty sharp, and then alter the bow and stern lines until you're at the right level. Put the breast line back on once everything had equalised, open the lock gates, take your bow and stern lines off, back down to the vessel, whip your breast line off, and away you go. Sounds really simple. In terms of the process, it probably is really simple. However, it'd be very, very, very tiring, because you'd be backwards and forwards across the lock and doing the gates and the sluices and etc. etc. But yeah, it's doable. I'm sure people have done it for centuries. So yeah, that's how I do it. That's the end of this video. If you want to see next week, where we will start heading down the locks, we'll do an overnight in Ballindock, a place, and then get to the Crinan Basin. So yeah, and then I'll give you some final thoughts and stuff like that. So that'll be that for this week, I believe. Unless... no.